watching AYV Television.
Hello, this is News Briefing on AYV Television and Radio 101.7 FM. I am Samuel Ibrahim Kuroma. The Chief Justice of Sierra Leone, Desmond Babatunde Edwards, has called on the 6 new sworn-in notary public officials to uphold standards of the position, as it requires them to validate signatures, documents, and oath of witnesses, as well as declaration. He made this statement after the oath-taking ceremony by the notary officials at the judiciary in Sierra Leone.
I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of a notary public.
Honorable Justice John. Honorable Justice John Commander, do hereby, in the name of God, swear that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of a notary public anywhere in Sierra Leone.
And faithfully discharge the duties of a notary public anywhere in Sierra Leone.
I have no doubt that those that I have appointed for that task fit the role. And you are going to do it with aplomb and dexterity. And everybody will be proud of you. I wish you well as you go on. It's also an honor because it's not everybody that we give this type of honor, respect and accolade to. It is a selected number.
Drivers across Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, have expressed mixed feelings over the enforcement of the road traffic regulation offences for public service vehicles. Some of the offences are carrying excess passengers, improper dress codes for both drivers and conductors, eating and driving vehicles with tinted glasses when not approved by police, among other things.
About it, because actually if you think too much for them will design be decent. So at least any Muslim will find for watch, but Muslim is so like kind of so you can not think that's only you know will look decent on our way. But not so good idea and too good idea. Because if you Muslim teach at least whether for all them private man because by a teach say Muslim at least them are for all them because no one above the law. So if we the commercial man they teach we Muslim and say because we teach we Muslim the only go pay 400 at least commercial Muslim for all them back.
I will see me with the teach because something in the okay lorry side of Mutsika they get me not want make the science.
Of course we see the 2007 regulation, 2011 regulation, we don't see them here all. Now in themselves they work with. I think the way you don't go through parliament, you don't come, you don't become law. And which me know no one is above the law. And I make a advice me man then. Me young constituent when the motor drivers and general transport workers, union members, can advise and see anything we want to do, do and peacefully.
Residents along Congo Market in Freetown woke up to the sad news of an alleged ritual murder of 5-year-old Tiange Josephine Peters of 9A Lawson Street and of the St. Anthony Primary School. Father of the deceased, Winston Peters, said her daughter got missing on Sunday, 26 September 2021, and a corpse was found today under Savage Street Bridge.
It is a shame for IRC and the Ministry of Information to continue running this institution.
So for this Sunday now, the other picking and hours, the less. Now, any more now, they look for their vehicles. We don't feel now we're able to see. By the 8 o'clock na next, we're able to see. Let me woman come meet me. See, we're all going to the station, we're going to make reports. I'm going to the states. I will make the report at the states. So when I go make the report at the states, I need the policeman tell me, say, let's check back on Monday. So if they will see, I don't know. I go back in the morning, it's not able to see. I go to England, I go make report there, I go to Central, I go make report, I go to City Council, I go make reports. This morning, one my neighbor who was in our house, it be the worst. They man the way they find iron on water side. But they can't see this body in our water side. I didn't tell this man who was in our house. They see body now. When you go tell me, now come, I walk out from this bridge, say I get down to that Kinton bridge. I'm not able to see this body. Now see when I take the water side back. I walk out, say I come. When I come now, I can see the body. Behind this water side as well. They wrap out with white pieces. So we send up pull up from the water. I will point to the all I will say is
The Chief Executive Officer, Campaign for Human Rights and Development International Chadi, Abdul Fatima, has said it is a shame that the Right to Access Information Commission continues to operate for many years now without having regulations that guide them on how to punish institutions or people who fail to comply to giving out information. He was speaking during a symposium by Right to Access Information Commission to mark the commemoration of the International Day of the Universal Access to Information.
It is a shame for IRC and the Ministry of Information to continue running this institution for over years now without having a regulation that guide them how to levy fines or how really to punish people who fail to comply. It's a shame for us as a country, for even talking about right to access to information, we don't have a law that protects our data and privacy.
That regulation has been prepared in concert with all the civil society bodies. We are that at BTMANI. Prepared, validated, but now it is at the Ministry of Information. You go to the Deputy Secretary, there's a big box, you look at that, it's only correspondences from RAIC to get the regulations for Parliament. But now that you have brought it, we want to appeal to you again from the civil society.
The Sierra Leone Telecommunications Company Limited has presented a budget of 190 billion leones for 2022 as a short business transformation of the company and upgrading of the network within the country. This was revealed during the ongoing budget hearing for all ministries, departments and agencies at the Ministry of Finance.
Challenge at the moment is the technology. We are using the CDMA, Code Division Multiple Access Technology, which is now obsolete. It's no longer effective because it's not supported by manufacturers. We need to go GSM. We need to go GSM for us to compete with some of our competitors who are already in the global system. Other challenges involve cash injection. Telecommunication is not cheap business, it's expensive. Continuously you have to invest into the business. For now, we don't have the capital to reinvest, change the technology, invest into the business to make us competitive. We are in competition, but we are really not built to transform and modernize the network. The expansive one we will not mention for now, but the short term is for us to go GSM, expand the fixed network, modernize the fixed network because some of the copper wires are now very old, improve of the fiber connectivity.
First Lady Fatima Bill has presented to the Sierra Leoneans in the United States of America and dubbed the Hands Off Our Girls as the People's Campaign, where she praised her husband, the president, for successfully securing an agenda item at the 76th United Nations General Assembly.
We are not celebrating anything. We're just continuing the conversation. What we show to you here, people will say, well, you've been doing the Hands of the Girls, yes, it's a campaign, yes. But there's a lot we've done. We started the campaign, we've engaged the people, we brought in the girls are now our champions, the boys are also tagging along and making sure the conversation continues. We have the custodians of our laws, the paramount chiefs who are with us. I'm so pleased that Paramount Chief Mina is here. They champion this. She's one of those paramount chiefs that have been fighting for this cause, so I am so honored to see you here now. We have the female lawyers who've come together to defend any victim that finds themselves in court.
And that's all we have for in this edition of News Brief at 1 p.m. Up next is This Day with David Remy Wilson. I am Samuel Ibrahim Koroma. Many thanks for watching and listening. Bye-bye.
Now story you go slow. Daddy, I want to engage this weekend, so I go buy plenty new series when they don't come out. Hey, you still dey behind the encourage for you season film then. Daddy, wait for do. Salon not the act season film. Oh, that tell you so. You know yet, but we all salon season film where they call Purian. Daddy, I don't know pass what you tell me so. But you dey behind. You know what? I don't forget the plate. Then go they play on AYB TV every Friday 8 p.m. on channel 33 and every Sundays 9 p.m. on channel 34. If Salon be active with one need for the watch for in season. I think it's item master for promote to be your salon season. You know what? It's late. I don't know. Papa, make it. Go. Me family then. Charity begins at home. Unale we promote to your local film then a salon. Watch out for Puri and TVCs on AYB television.
Inside this season film, you go no say Salon Sabi and then get for the show na in Salon Sabi TV. We na AYB television every Friday on channel 33 8 p.m. and every Sunday on channel 34 9 p.m. So make you no left piano for waiting AYB films. Don't bring the salon.
Now story you go slow. Daddy, I want to engage this weekend, so I go buy plenty new series when they don't come out. Hey, you still dey behind the encourage for you season film then. Daddy, wait for do. Salon not the act season film. Oh, that tell you so. You know yet, but we all salon season film where they call Purian. Daddy, I don't know pass what you tell me so. But you dey behind. You know what? I don't forget the plate. Then go they play on AYB TV every Friday 8 p.m. on channel 33 and every Sundays 9 p.m. on channel 34. If Salon be active with one need for the watch for in season. I think it's item master for promote to be your salon season. You know what? It's late. I don't know. Papa, make it. Go. Me family then. Charity begins at home. Unale we promote to your local film then a salon. Watch out for Puri and TV series on AYB television.
Inside this season film, you go no say Salon Sabi and then get for the show na in Salon Sabi TV. When na AYB television every Friday on channel 33, 8 p.m. and every Sunday on channel 34, 9 p.m. So make you no left piano for waiting AYB films. Don't bring na Salon.
Good afternoon, welcome to this video on UIV Television, Channel 33 and on the radio 101.17. Many thanks to Samuel Ibrahim Kroma for bringing you this news brief. This day, as usual, news and current affairs show that brings news to your doorstep, and you can also be part of the show by joining the conversation to our Facebook page, the After Young Voices Media Empire, and we'll definitely find time to read all of them. Tomorrow is World Maritime Day, and it's very important that we discuss, and the team speaks about the protection of seafarers as they themselves matters in terms of their protection and their rights, and also how we should protect the environment when it comes into issues surrounding the sea. And in the spirit to discuss that, I've been joined by Lamin Kanu from the Sierra Maritime Administration. Lamin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, welcome.
All right. And also, as a way to achieve gender equality in religious and media institutions, Men's Association for Gender Equality, Sierra with support from Suka Africa, has started a 4-day engagement for journalists and religious leaders. And the engagement aims at building movement against sexual and gender-based violence in the country. Well, to throw more light into that, I have been joined by Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Men Engage Africa, Bafana Kumalo. Welcome to show, Bafana.
Thank you very much.
Right. And so I'm going to start with Lamin. Tomorrow is very important day, in the aspect of maritime and also seafarers in the country. So how it has been, and how important is this day as we commemorate it?
Thank you very much. To start with, the IMO, which is an arm of the United Nations, the International Maritime Organization, celebrates every year the World Maritime Day to show the importance or the contribution of the maritime sector in the world's economy. And for tomorrow's theme, which is the 2021 theme, it's seafarers at the core of the shipping industry. IMO has decided to take this particular theme to shine a light at the invaluable contribution of the seafarers in the shipping industry. As we all know, 80 or more than 80% of the world supply chain is being carried by sea. Everything we see around us, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the furniture we use, the fuel in our cars, is being carried by this particular group of people who are called seafarers. And for the past 1 year coming to now, the seafarers have been impacted negatively due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And as such, over 250,000 seafarers has been, they are on board ships. They have not been able to repatriate them to come home to see their family because of the issue of signing off. And over also 100,000 of seafarers are also at home presently without job to provide for their family because of the COVID-19 travel restriction. And this has created a lot of issue on board. Imagine the normal contract for seafarers is 4 to 6 months. Because when you work at sea, you don't have holiday, you don't have weekend. Every day is a Monday, and you have a 10-hour or to 12-hour shift every day. So you need a precision to do your job. So if there is a time you need to go and see your family and that time has not come and you don't know when you are going to sign off, it creates a negative impact, it creates fatigue. And let's just imagine now there's a lot of fatigue in the industry and the seafarers are unable to move these vessels to their destination. What do you think will happen? No seafarer means there is no ship movement. And if we don't have any ship movement in the world, it means the world trade will come to a standstill. It means there is no shopping. It means there will be chaos. It means there will be no fuel for anybody. So these people are very important. So that's why the IMO has decided to shine a light so that we can see the effort these people are making. So this particular event is...
Sorry, you know, they agree and they believe that they are actually making a lot of efforts with regards to salvage situations when it comes into goods and services. But they think that they have been left out when it comes into their rights being protected and their welfare. You know, it's also a challenge, and they have not been protected.
Yes, yes. That's why the theme for this year is seafarers at the core of the shipping future. It simply means what the IMO and the United Nations have done is to do a United Nations resolution on the international cooperation for seafarers' welfare. What they have done is to allow countries all over the world to declare seafarers as key workers so that seafarers will be exempted from this travel restriction, so people will have the zeal back to go back to sea and people will be relieved from their work to come back. And with regards to the protection you are talking about, the theme also enclosed about the human element of the seafarer on board. It talk about the safety and the security of the seafarer on board. We have ILO, we have ICF. These are all the people that are looking at the welfare of the seafarer on board. As you may be aware, most of around this Africa, which is the Gulf of Guinea, we have a lot of pirates attack. Yes. Now seafarers have become a target. It's $1 million industry. People are being attacked. They've been asking for ransom of millions of dollars to be paid. So people are scared. So it's like a world security issue it has become. So IMO is looking at all these key issues. So they want the world to come together to have a way of solving this issue by giving, first of all, to start with this pandemic, to allow these people to become key workers so that they will have some privileges to move and come back to see their family. And also, there's also a concern which will affect the world in not too far the future. There's a short supply of seafarers as we speak right now. There's a short supply of seafarers. Yes.
And they said they have not been trained and those who drive the ship, you know, we don't have, you know, mechanic to at least able to move, you know, be on board on the ship. You only have laborers, you know, who goes there and work, and they have been treated badly.
Yes, you know, it's a concern. That's why the Maritime Administration is working seriously with, the Seafarers Association. You understand? They are key stakeholders. We work with them in an everyday basis. What obtains on board the ship? Because I myself am a seafarer. I just came back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm one of the few Sierra Leoneans who got placement recently on board the Sierra Leonean flag vessel. Okay. You understand? So we are getting there. There are steps that have been taken in the right direction. Sierra Leone, recently, that is the Maritime Administration, signed an MOU with the International Ship Registry to allow Sierra Leonean seafarers to have placements on board international vessels. But it all comes back to the issue of training. Yeah. Because it's like you going to the university. For you to be at the university, you have a prerequisite, which is your WASP, maths, English, and the rest of it. For you to go back to sea, you need those prerequisites. And those prerequisites, which are the certificates of competence, those are not done in Sierra Leone. That's where the challenge is. Those are done in Ghana. And Sierra Leone is a member of the Regional Maritime University.
And these guys have not been given the opportunity to be trained, you know, because we think that you know, and most of them are veterans now, and you know, and they actually not been having the opportunity to be well trained, in turn to be passing knowledge to others.
Yeah. So what the Maritime Administration is doing moving forward to curtail this problem is to pass the STCW, Standard of Training Certification bill, you understand, in Parliament. They've done everything. It's moved from the Law Officers Department. It's just now to be tabled in Parliament, and after that, they will gazette this for 21 days. Then to become a law. After that, we'll do a self-audit as a country. Then we'll call the IMO, the International Maritime Organization, and say, this is how far we've gone, so that they can accredit us. If they accredit us as a country, then we can have the mandate now to give COC, because the challenge is people to move from Sierra Leone to Ghana. You know, the cost of air tickets. So even in that regard, the administration is also working towards that. what we are trying to have an MOU with Regional Maritime University, which we are a member state of, you understand, to have an MOU with them to come and do the trainers program in Sierra Leone, because there are some of us here who have the qualification, have the prerequisite. They'll come train us and allow us to train our people, so they in turn will certify them. And if that happens, which will happen very soon, then it will curtail and ease the burden on the training.
And most people say Sierra Leone is good at signing treaties, but the implementation is also a problem. And I believe there are a lot of treaties being signed with regards of protecting the seafarers, capacity building, but the implementation process is also a challenge.
Yeah, you are correct. That's why I'm telling you what the administration is doing to pass all this convention, because that's why the Maritime Administration is formed, you understand, to implement the regulation of the IMO. So now what we've done, the Maritime Security Bill, the STCW, the MAPO Convention, these are all now at a level to be passed by Parliament. We have done the drafting, we have look at the document, validate it with key stakeholders. Now it's just left to be a table in Parliament, and hence it's become a law. Then it's open opportunities for all these other things we are talking about. Okay. So there are steps in the right direction to make sure all these things happen. And I for one sitting, I'm a testimony to one, because I just recently went to Turkey and on board a vessel, and we sailed for over 5 months and come back home. So we went, and recently one other person also have a placement, is presently in Russia, and the opportunity is there now. So this is what we want to do. We want to sell this opportunity to the young people to know there is a career now, a career at the maritime sector, which is seafaring, which is a well-paid career, and you can come. It's not just accounting, doing accounting, anything. You can be a marine engineer, you can work on board a vessel, you can be a navigation officer, you can work on board a vessel. At this point in time, all we have now is Ghana for them to do the course that is accredited. Like I said earlier, we are also working in the not too far future. All those things will happen right here in Sierra Leone. Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Lamin, Kanu from the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration. So let me bring in Bafana Kumalu. And, the Men's Association for Gender Equality and, speaks about us from moving from that stereotype of saying that men should be men, all walks of men should be only be done by men, and women should not be involving into men's work. And gender violation as well is also very important as well. So what has been, you guys, with your engagement of religious leaders, journalists, and how it has been, and what do you think has been happening with regards of creating level of awareness, more especially from the religious people and the journalists?
Well, I first wanted to connect with my colleague, and I agree with his intervention. The need to domesticate the training so that more young people can take these opportunities. I do think in transitioning to our discussion, it would be important that in that consideration we also consider young women, Sierra Leone young women, for training as seafarers, because I think that will benefit the country. But in the work we do with traditional leaders and religious leaders, by the way, it also includes uniformed personnel, police, correctional services, the army, which is very important. Has been very interesting for me. We've been doing this program now for the 4 years, supported by NORAD, which we started in the first year, raising awareness. The level of, acceptability of engagement on these issues with this sector was a bit challenging, but in the 4 years, I'm happy to say that I'm seeing a lot of difference, both in terms of the development of policies, the laws in Sierra Leone. We've been very gratified to see how parliamentarians have put in place policies that are very progressive. But as you asked my colleague, the challenge is always in the implementation. I think traditional leaders and religious leaders have been pointing out to some of the challenges, the gaps, and so we've been working at strategies on how do we ensure that those progressive policies that are in place are implemented. With regards to gender-based violence, we still learn that it's still very high in Sierra Leone, so there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. MAGE, of course, is a small entity. The challenges are enormous. So what we've been able to do is to leverage how do we ensure that bringing the religious leaders, traditional leaders, government, we have the Ministry of Gender and Children Affairs supporting this program. Unless we do all of that, media, today we started a review with journalists that have been part of this program. And our model is to say, how do we ensure that traditional leaders, religious leaders become sources of information for the media on issues that relates to gender-based violence, so that when you guys pick up a story and you need a reliable source that can speak on this or an expert, you can call traditional leaders, you can call religious leaders in the far-flung districts, where people are struggling to even access the media, who can be informative in becoming sources for you. So this triumvirate, if you like, of traditional leaders, religious leaders, and the media, for us is a very important nexus that will ensure that Sierra Leone takes this work to the next level. When we bring government, because government are duty bearers, then it ensures that this work is sustained and that it can really be taken to scale in Sierra Leone.
The day of out-of-court settlements and out-of-police settlements has been the order of day in Sierra Leone. For instance, if there's a gender-based violence with a young girl, and what will happen, maybe the religious leader or the traditional leader will intervene and say, okay, let's resolve this.
Yes.
And probably
at the family level,
sure, and maybe it involve top someone in the family who probably got could have got someone abused as well. So that has been the problem, and which I believe it's because of less awareness. People don't understand that we should stop that, and in order to ensure we protect
that there's justice. Well, of course, this is not just in Sierra Leone. I come from South Africa. Traditional leaders will say, for instance, okay, you can give a goat because you violated this young woman. And we push back and say, but where does the goat go? It does not go to the woman who's been violated. It goes to the father or to the uncle. So what happens to the justice for the young girl who has been violated? And so we are saying we must allow what we call restorative justice. Of course, it's important because we don't want to simply say lock everyone. There must be mechanisms that we develop in our African systems. There were always ways in which these matters are resolved. But as we do that, we should ensure that it does not secondary violate women, so that when you do sit around the table and find an alternative system, it must be just to the ones who have been victimized, so that we can say, you as a man, you have done this, what is your accountability for what you have done? So that it's not just about saying sorry, and then tomorrow you do it again to another girl. So we need to have systems that are able to say, if we follow that alternative route, it leads to justice. And if people fail through that restorative justice, then the criminal justice system must kick in. The police, the prosecution authority, and all of that, so that we send a very clear message that any form of violence against women and girls is not acceptable. And I think your president has been leading in the front in this, because by declaring rape, for instance, as a national emergency, that's a very strong message to the country and to the international world to say violation of women is not acceptable in Sierra Leone. Now, when we see more and more leaders taking that public view, it sends a very strong message to the men in the streets to say, I can't do this with impunity. There will be accountability. And we think that is a development in the right direction.
Like you speak about the strive made so far by the government, creating sexual and penetration court, which is also very important, seeing the speedy trial of some of these cases. And also said the number of staying in prison has been increased to a number of 15 years, and as the case may be from the judge as well. And just recently, a report from Save the Children, which says, well, in our local balance, it says tap to me, which means the area of girls staying to man, it's quite very increasing. And they said the reason is because for instance, like you said, someone will pregnate a girl, and the family will say, okay, you have pregnated my daughter. So what will happen? I'm going to give you her, and then for you to take care of her. And she's actually below the age, and that has been the challenge. So it still boiled down to the settlement of out of court and families as well.
Yeah, but it leaves the girl vulnerable. That girl may not have education, and she may be abused by this man going forward. And I'm aware that in most of the countries in Africa, there's now a review of marriage laws, for instance, to deny those kinds of settlements. Because, as I say, we think it's not proper that we find that settlement which does not bring justice to the girl or to the woman in many instances. So we are calling on traditional leaders to say, don't accept this kind of behavior. You know, let's find a solution that resolves these matters and send a very clear message to us as men that we need to treat women and girls fairly and with dignity and with respect. There's a chief in Malawi, for instance, who by decree ruled that there must be no child marriage in her area. And she took a very strong stance, which is very unpopular in the area. But because she has the leadership, which is what we need, she says anyone who falls within her chiefdom, if they violate that principle, they are demoted. So if you are a sub-chief or whatever, and you violate that principle, she takes you out of the system. What we see now in Malawi, through that influence, is that more and more traditional leaders are taking a stronger position on these matters, and they are ensuring that they stop any of the violations. In South Africa, as I said, where I come from, where violence against women is very high, as you would know. Just yesterday, there's a religious leader who was sentenced to 35 years in prison because he's been abusing young women in his church. Now, I'm always embarrassed because I'm a pastor myself. When people trust us because we are in positions of trust, of leadership. Now, when we are the ones who are violating young women, who should people turn to? People are told that when you have trouble, run to the church or to the mosque, because that's where you will get. But if now they are violated in the church, now where must they run? And I think we've pushed very hard in South Africa. We've advocated. Now the courts are very intolerant to any forms of violence against girls or women. We have a Nigerian pastor, Omotoso, who's currently in jail for 4 years. His case, because he's been challenging, he's got lawyers because they've got money. They've been challenging the case at every turn. But we are determined that that man must receive justice. He has violated well over 30 young women in his church. But because we've got accountability mechanisms and they are working, he is going to be held accountable. In many of our countries, this is not so.
Yeah, but like you
people
said,
get away with
you
it.
Talk about the tribal head.
Yes.
In Zimbabwe, who stood on a grounds.
Yes.
Believe that it should actually protected the right of girls.
Yes.
One will say, could it mean because she's a woman and she believes and she feels how it looks like when a young girl been abused.
Yeah.
And but here in Sierra Leone, in a situation where we have our traditional leaders are all men, and sometimes taking tough decisions.
Yes.
They believe sometimes it will get back at them. And they will have to solve the problem. And a situation that the tribal head, maybe family got into that problem, and he has to sort out the problem. So it's very difficult to do these laws here in Sierra Leone, but it's left with the judiciary, the legal system, the criminal aspect. We have the police and the lawmakers. We have seen the government with some strong laws. They can do all of that, but if the implementation of those who should be implementing it, fail to do so.
Then you don't win. No. I'm gratified, I must say. I met a paramount chief from one of your districts here in Sierra Leone. Just forgot the name, and Mage can give you that. Who spoke very strongly on these issues, and he's a man. The position he has taken that sometimes puts him in serious, challenge from other male traditional leaders. But he's been very brave. He has taken a very principled position to say this in my area will not be allowed. And he stood up. He's part of the UN Women, what we call Khota, a council of traditional leaders. And there's a growing number of traditional leaders who take these positions. In Zimbabwe, we have Chief Wange in an area just near Victoria Falls called Wange, who's a very progressive man. I mean, if he would come here and talk, you would not say he's a traditional leader, because he stands very firm on issues of justice, of respect, of dignity. And these are the kind of leaders that we need to see and hear their voices more in Africa. And my brother was talking about the maritime, and I argue that if economically we continue not to allow women, for instance, to be treated with respect and dignity, and yet we compete with countries in the north, where women are given opportunities and they rise and they do all these miraculous things, we will never survive in Africa as a continent. Because if for you, as you were saying, maritime has got enormous opportunities. But if you say just the boys in Sierra Leone, and you are competing with Japan, where they allow the girls to become part of this, it's almost like going to a soccer match and you say, no, we are so good in soccer in Africa, we can play with 5 players. You know, against Brazil, which has got 11 players. It's a no-brainer. You know that who is going to win there. So I think we need to invest more in transformative interventions that ensure that women and girls participate, are treated with dignity. Girls cannot concentrate in school if they are being harassed by boys and teachers. It affects their education psychologically. So we need a lot to do. And it requires all of us. We are men here. I don't know if you have children, if you have daughters, you know, how do you feel if I am a 60-year-old man, I go out with your 15-year-old daughter? How does that make you feel? We need to be saying these things are not acceptable. Let's push back. I must allow your daughter to develop and get all the opportunities of education so that tomorrow she can make choices. If she wants to do things, she must be able to say, I can do it for myself. Now, many young women in Africa depend on men, which is part of the problem. Because when they are violated, when you come and say to the family, no, I'll supply you with groceries, I'll buy this and pay rent and pay school fees, then the family says, oh, okay, fine, let him rather live with him. And that is part of our problem. We need rather to say, how do we ensure that our girls are well prepared, invest in them, so that, as he says, there are opportunities, and there are enormous opportunities in maritime, and I agree with him, throughout the continent. We have large seas, you know. There's lots in maritime. It's not just, it's fisheries, it's, as he says, you can be an engineer, you can be whatever. Now, if our girls can grasp those opportunities, I'm telling you, my brother, the future of Africa is bright.
I know.
If we are willing to invest in young women.
I'm going to come back to you, Bafana. And so let me bring in Lamin into the conversation. You know, like what Bafana speaks about, us protecting women. And the other day we hosted, there's this woman, she's I think Sia or so, and which I believe she's, well, probably one of the only few women into the marine sector as well. She has been advocating for women to come on board. But she said she has not been treated right, you know, and well in terms of moving towards that. The platform is there, but she has not been getting the platform in terms of her moving forward. So, and you know, with us celebrating these days, maybe it's next year, this year, the other years to come, are we putting structure for women, for them to involve into the activities?
Of course, women are into the maritime world. Just to speak to that, we have an organization which is called the Women in Maritime in Sierra Leone, which the woman you are talking about, Madam Sia, who is the Deputy Harbour Master at Port Authority, she is part.
Okay.
And as I speak to you now, the president of that particular association, who is Madam Regina, she is presently in Nigeria on board a vessel doing a sit-up. So women are part, and they have the energy, and we want more of them to come. And what the administration is doing in that direction, not just for the women, we want to catch them when they are young. So moving forward from next month, we'll be going to schools to talk to the pupils from SS2 level, SS3, to tell them about the opportunity, to tell them that they should come alongside and work with the maritime, because there are enormous opportunity. And if I tell you now, if we sustainably exploit the blue economy, there is no need for the green economy. There is more than what we thought it is in the blue economy. It's not just about fishing, as it's saying. It's not just about the oil. It's not about, we have these contractors who also work on vessels. You bring your vessel now, it has a problem, you have contractor, you have ship brokers. There's a lot of things, and these are all money-making machines. So women, I'm sure 2 or 3 years ago, there was a theme on the World Maritime Day that speaks about women empowerment, something like that. I can't be certain, but there was a theme just recently. Yeah, so IMO is working all around to make sure there's an inclusiveness and equality in the industry. To be honest with you, they might say to some extent it's a men's world, the maritime industry, because if you go to a ship, most ship, you don't see women there. But women are coming gradually, and mostly they are in the cruise line world.
Is it because the work are quite tedious?
Yeah, the work is tedious, but there are women who can stand to it. I went to the Regional Maritime University. I have ladies in my class that are engineers, and now they are on board. They are sailing. So women in Africa are also making progress in terms of maritime, and we want to call them to come more. We want them to come. We want equality. They'll be treated right. There are laws to protect them on board. There are legal ways you can send a complaint if there is any issue with harassment or whatever. There are ways. So they are invited to come, and we'll put measures in place. Like I said, we'll catch them when they are young. We'll go to schools, the annual girls' school, to talk to these kids to understand the importance of maritime, that they are also part of it.
Like you said, you spoke about harassment. That has been the norm when ladies go to the sea or on board the vessel, and maybe by their boss or someone else senior, in the vessel, and the belief they have been, more especially sexual violation as well, and they will tell them, okay, if you decided to come out with any information with regards to that, will throw you off the sea, and that has been the fear of them. They will prefer, okay, let me just give out my opinion because I want my life to be safe, of course, and then as well. So how can we ensure that we protect them in the vessel, and those who are head of these vessels know that, okay, we should ensure that we protect women's rights, ensure that we encourage more people to come on board.
Yeah, like I said, the women in maritime I'm talking about is an arm of the United Nations. So it's at that level. These are women who are advocates for their colleagues at that high level. So as a woman on board, there are rules. There is no way you can tamper with them, because first of all, if you are the only woman on board, you're definitely going to have your cabin alone. You understand? And the issue of saying to send somebody overboard, those are issues of the past, because now there are checks and balance. Before you go, there are organization. You have the flag state. For example, Sierra Leone is a flag state. All those details are sent to us. You have the shore office. You have all those details. You have the Seafarers Association. You have the ILO. You have the ITF. You understand? All those people have this information. So in order for you to do what you just think you can get away with, is not possible. There are international court, they can try you, and they can try you from the flag states part of it. And so there are a lot of things. So women are encouraged to come to the industry. They are protected. No one we have women who are captains. We have women who are a chief engineer. Madam Sia spoke of, she's a second engineer. Maybe soon she'll become a chief engineer. So those are the kind of motivation we are looking from them. She'll be here maybe today or tomorrow to speak more of these issues to the young girls so that they can see themselves in a picture.
Okay, I'll come and talk about how the day is going to be celebrated tomorrow. And so let me come to Kumalo. And moving forward, I know the trend is ongoing with the religious people, the media, traditional leaders as well, with regards to force fighting, gender-based violence in Sierra Leone. So, how it has been from the response, from those who have been trained. I know this is not the first time.
Yes.
With regards to that.
The response has been phenomenal. There's the journalists, for instance, when I left, they were giving us a lowdown on what they have done for the year and the stories that they have had to write, and the stories that were on TV or whatever, on reporting on GBV, because we also encourage them to link up with the traditional leaders. They were also sharing how they've been able to get expert opinion on the stories when they were writing them. But there were also challenges and gaps. I mean, as it is in all environments, change does not happen as an event. Change is a process. There are still challenges in the newsroom. There are still editors who do not think these stories are important, or who will move journalists from a story to rather move to something else. Or if the perpetrator is a well-known person, very powerful, you know, there will be means of, I think, what do you say, journalists? You kill the story or you spike it.
Because, you know, sometimes.
So there are still those challenges. Now, what we have done through this program, because it's happening in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, and Sierra Leone, we are also linking these journalists to say, speak to your colleagues in Zimbabwe, to speak to your colleagues in South Africa. They may share experiences because the issues are the same. How they deal with it when an editor is not supportive. What are the strategies? One of the things we try and do as well is plan to have breakfast briefings with editors. We know that editors are very busy. We can't have them for a training, sensitization on gender issues. So we plan a breakfast meeting so that we come and say to them, look, these are the issues. So that you have a similar understanding between the newsroom and the editor who's responsible, so that they have a greater understanding of the context of sexual gender-based violence. And we find that there's a lot of traction when we have included people in those conversations and they feel that they can make a contribution as well. Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward, what should we be expecting? I know you guys hire for a while,
yes,
so ensuring that things are actually moving on well, with a lot of engagement, you know, on the fight, and you know, with regards to that.
Yeah. Well, our model is that we do not come in to do the work and leave as a parachute. We work with MAGE, a reliable partner. They are Sierra Leone, they are based here, they have all the contacts. All we come to do is provide capacity and skills and connections. They continue to do the work. So we are gratified that the work is not going to die, because MAGE is here. In Zimbabwe, we have a local partner, Men Engage Zimbabwe. In South Africa, we have a local partner that manages this process. So that for us is important, because the work must be embedded in the context where it is happening. But we're also happy that the government in Sierra Leone has been very supportive. The Minister of Gender has always been very supportive. When we knock on their doors, they've been forthcoming. The fact that we can work with the uniformed forces, the police, correctional services, they've sent people who have been sitting through the 2 days training. They tell us themselves the programs that they are doing on gender transformation within those departments. Some of the challenges they have, but also a lot of successes. So we think, as one Chinese philosopher said, change takes one step at a time.
Yeah.
As long as you are in the right direction, you will get there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having
Bafana
us.
Kumalo, and thank you for being part of the show. And also, you know, Lamin. So I know tomorrow is the day, and there are a lot of activities lined up, you know, to commemorate today. So how it's going to be celebrated here in Sierra Leone?
Okay. Tomorrow, to start with, we're still going to have the media engagement, because, as you know, the maritime industry is not well known to people. We still have what is called sea blindness in Sierra Leone and most parts of the world. So we're still going to have media engagement on the TV and the radio. And after that, we're going to have a program at our head office, which is the Maritime House, where we'll invite our key stakeholders, like the Ministry of Transport, who are regulators, and also Ministry of Fisheries, the Office of National Security. We talk about the police, the Marine Police, the Navy. All these key stakeholders will be there to give speech, to talk more about the theme of the program. And also tomorrow, you know, Sierra Leone or maybe some parts of Africa, we are not used to celebrating people when they are alive. So tomorrow we're going to celebrate seafarers who have made immense contribution to the industry. We're going to celebrate the old, we're going to celebrate the new, those who are just coming in, to tell them that, yes, we have your back, go on, we are behind you. So tomorrow we're going to have that kind of program. It's going to be a nice one. And after that, we're going to have a parade to show you actually how it's been done there. Because seafarers are paramilitary people, yes. If you go to a maritime academy, we are like a paramilitary, because you train like a military person. The only difference is you don't use a gun. Because when you go in the industry, it's a military industry. You have to work day in, day out. So we're going to have a nice parade, which will be shown out. because of the COVID, we will have turned the city blue tomorrow, but because of COVID, it's gonna be a small, nice one at our place.
And we have time quickly, and you said it's gonna be nice, and these veterans, they have been crying for their pensions. And that's also a challenge. So are they going to be paid on that day for it to be nice for them?
No, the people we are talking
plans to ensure that things work.
No, the ones we are talking about here are seafarers, people who are like the first chief engineer in the sub-region, who is a Sierra Leone. Those are the people we're going to award tomorrow and celebrate with them. You understand? People who have made contribution in the industry.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Lamin Kanu from the Maritime Administration, and Bafana Kumalo. Thank you very much, and for being part of the show. So continue the conversation tomorrow at Sailing Join the World to commemorate the World Maritime Day. I've been the presenter, David M. Wilson. Many thanks to the production team and technical team. I'm very sorry for not reading your messages on our Facebook page due to a few technical problems, but I'm sure we'll do so tomorrow. Till then, have a blessed day and bye for now. Good afternoon and welcome to this day for this live on TV.
You're watching AYV Television.
Aziglobin. Hey, uncle, they don't work this morning. Who's one that they're single where they are? Aziglobin. Now the medicine we're good for you, well body one. It gets boku, vitamin, mineral, and iron param. Aziglobin, they're too tight. You get the syrup and you get the capsule. It gets boku yayam param. We're gonna make your body stronger and you